Welcome to Average Joe's Pool. Now you may well have seen our Valhalla 100 series pool cue review video already, and a lot of people have asked what's the difference between a 100 series, 200, 300, 400, 500, 900? Well, we're going to find out as we delve in a little bit deeper and take a look at the Valhalla 200 series. And the cue that we have here for review today is the VA238. It's been kindly supplied to us for review directly from Viking. If you're not already familiar with the Viking brand, then Viking is a USA manufacturer of pool cues located in Wisconsin, USA. However, what we have here is actually a Valhalla by Viking. The difference being that their Valhalla series of cues are actually manufactured in China as opposed to the Viking cues which they manufacture themselves in the USA. And as we always say, don't let the simple fact that it's manufactured in China necessarily put you off. We reviewed recently the Valhalla 100 series and that cue absolutely blew us away. That is a fantastic cue for the money, which is why we're really looking forward to getting stuck into the 200 series. And in fact, Viking are so confident in the quality of their Valhalla series cues that they come with a full lifetime warranty, including coverage against warpage. So when it comes to Valhalla's 200 series, it currently consists of 12 different models, and they're all an identical price. And within that range, you will find a mix of wood stains as well as transfer prints or combinations of both. And the model that we have here for review, this is the VA238. As you can see, it comes with a two-tone wood stain. It's also worth mentioning that they do the VA237, which is identical to this, but it comes in a two-tone green stain. And then in addition to these, you do have several more designs in the series which are available in different colours. And a cue in the 200 series that does stand out like a sore thumb, it's actually the VA241, and that's a Sneaky Pete cue. So we're actually going to be doing a separate review on that one as well. So look out for that coming soon. As far as weight option goes for the 200 series, they are available in 7 different weights. That's 18 through to 21 ounces, including half-ounce increments. Now, one of the big important factors when it comes to Valhalla cues, of course, is the price. And it's worth noting that on the 100 series, they've recently gone up a touch in price. Without the wrap, they're currently $110, and if you want a 100 series with the wrap, currently $120. And when it comes to the 200 series, they're only $10 more, coming in at $130. And the Valhalla 200 series cues are available to buy on Amazon, and we'll be adding links not only for this particular model, but for the other 200 series models as well. And so you'll find those Amazon links in the video description. So if this video is helpful for you, please be sure to help support us in return, and please be sure to click on our Amazon links. So now we've got the basics nailed down, let's move on to the more detailed stuff. Let's take a look at the spec check.
Please, so many questions. Let's take them one at a time.
So first up, when it comes to packaging, our Valhalla 200 series comes with no frills packaging, a simple poly bag complete with Valhalla logos. And when it comes to design, the model that we've chosen, the 238, is one of the 200 series that comes with a wood stain finish. And as you can see, we have a two-tone wood stain. And with regards to materials, just like the 100 series, our 200 series is made from Michigan hard rock maple. And for our wrap, this is a genuine Irish linen wrap, finished in black, complete with white speckles. And as far as details go, it's actually identical to the 100 series. So on our butt cap, we have a silver ring, and we have that silver ring repeated either side of our joint. And for the joint, the pin size is 5/16 by 18, finished with a high impact resin joint collar. And with regards to logos, the rubber butt cap on the end there has the twin lightning Valhalla logo. And additionally, on the butt cap itself, we have the Valhalla by Viking logo. And then finally, we do also have the twin lightning logo at the base of the shaft as well. And taking a quick look at the shaft just for a second, the bottom couple of inches here are actually finished with a varnish to help protect the logo. And with regards to the taper that we have here, again, this is identical to the taper on the 100 series. So we do have a pro tapered shaft. But that said, it's not the most extreme of tapers. And so rather than coming down at an extreme angle and then running straight to the end, it's carrying a little bit more weight in this center section than most extreme pro tapers. And working our way down to the end of the cue, we have a white high impact resin ferrule. And with regards to the tip, it does state on the Viking website that all Valhalla Cues come complete with a triangle leather tip. And for the tip size, this is a 13mm tip, where when we measured it, came in pretty close, 13.22mm. And this is a 58-inch cue, and when we measured this in, actually measured in at 58 and 9/16 inches. However, if we deduct from that measurement both the butt cap and the tip, comes in at 58 and 1/16 inches. And our total length comprised of a butt length of 29 and 5/16 inches, plus a shaft length of 29 and 1/4 inches. And for diameters, the diameter at the butt end 31.86mm, and the diameter here at the shaft 21.38mm. And for weight, this is the 19-ounce version that we have here, and when we weighed it in, 19.32 ounces. And that comprised of a butt weight of 14.81 ounces, plus a shaft weight of 4.51 ounces. And for the centre of balance on our 200 series, it came in at 19 and 1/4 inches measured from the butt cap. So now we know all about the 200 series, it's time to jump into the technical tests. Let's go. So for test number 1, let's see how straight the Valhalla 200 series is by subjecting it not only to a basic visual inspection, but also to 3 straightness tests. And first up is the classic table roll test. And this easy test throws up no issues for the 200, with the cue appearing to roll perfectly straight and true. But this test is too easy, so let's up the difficulty with test 2, the rail roll test. And for this test we'll be watching the tip for wobble whilst rolling the cue along the solid rail of the table. And here we can see that we do have some vibration, but the wobble looks close to non-existent. So we're definitely looking great so far. So let's move things up to maximum difficulty with test number 3 and get the 200 onto the cue rollers. And here we can see that we are indeed running super straight. We do have a very small amount of tip wobble, but it's very minor and certainly nothing to be concerned about at this price range. So the Valhalla 200 has definitely impressed with its solid straightness results. And for the price we're paying, this is fantastic, scoring the 200 series a not far from perfect 4.5 stars out of 5 for straightness.
What's that? Robot blood.
First up for performance, we have 2 deflection tests in store, squirt and natural pivot length, as well, of course, as play testing. So let's make a start with squirt. And this test is done over a distance measured between the head spot and the rear rail, which is 75 inches on our 9-foot table. And we use maximum parallel English along with a hard shot. And this test is repeated at least 10 times on both sides for an accurate overall average. And our Valhalla 200 scored an average of 2 7/8 inches, which is a decent result and a touch above average. And unfortunately we've not managed to match the amazing 2 5/8 inches set by the Valhalla 100 series. But with an identical spec, this is likely down to batch or material variation, but still a very decent result for the 200. So next up we're testing for natural pivot length. And for this test we extend the bridge until we find the maximum, which we then replicate at least 3 times on both sides to ensure accuracy. And the key to this test is simple: longer equals lower deflection, so longer is better. And just like the 100 series before it, our 200 series excelled here, with an exceptional result of 15.5 inches, which places it near the top of the scale. And this is our second Valhalla in a row to excel in this test, which really is testament to the quality and build of these great cues. So next up will be play testing. It's time to get this onto the table and start knocking some balls around. And all products that we review here at Average Joe's Pool always have a minimum of 5 hours use on the table before we formulate an opinion, to make sure we can bring you an accurate and fair review. So now it's time to get our Norse on. Let's play. So when it comes to performance, the Valhalla 200 series plays identically to the Valhalla 100 series, and that's not a bad thing. In fact, it's a very good thing. So just like the 100 series, we have a cue here that's definitely extremely well crafted for the price, and likewise it's an absolute pleasure to play with. Now when it comes to budget cues, with some manufacturers you really can't tell the difference between a $50 budget cue and a $150 cue, whereas on the Valhalla here what you're getting is something that feels entirely different from a $50 cue. This is definitely in a league of its own. Now you would have seen earlier in our natural pivot length test, the natural pivot length on this cue is absolutely outstanding. We should not be seeing these kind of results at this kind of price. When it comes down to playing with the Valhalla, they definitely have a very competent feel. You can be very confident in the cue, you can put a lot of spin, and you know that this thing is not going to let you down. Now it should be said that just like the 100 series that we reviewed previously, this cue does have a slightly harder hit. However, the big difference is, although the hit is slightly on the harder side, the cue definitely does not feel overtly stiff. And that's a problem that you tend to find on a lot of these budget cues, especially ones that are fitted with harder tips, things like the Le Pro tips, is they do have quite a stiff and unresponsive feel. Thankfully, we do not have that with the Valhalla. Now when it comes to the tips that are fitted to the Valhalla, there was a little bit of confusion about this because when you look at the current catalogue, it actually describes these models as having a premium tip. Whereas when you go onto the Viking website and delve a little bit deeper into these Valhalla cues, it actually says that they have triangle tips, which are manufactured by Tweeton, the same company that does Triangle and Master Chalks. And so we contacted Viking directly to get clarification as to what tips they actually fit onto the Valhalla cues. And they confirmed that all Valhalla playing cues definitely come fitted with those triangle tips. However, there is a slight variance. If you've seen the 100 series review that we've done previously, you might remember that the tip that we had on that cue was actually grey, whereas on our 200 series here it's very much brown. And Viking have confirmed that both of those tips are actually triangle. Now the standard colour for triangle tips of course is brown, but we also have that grey version, and that is a special version that Viking had manufactured direct with Tweeton that was exclusive for their Valhalla Cues. So your cue may well come with a brown tip or a grey tip, but either way they are both triangle tips. Now when it comes to those triangle tips, they do tend to be slightly towards the harder side of the scale. But thankfully on the Valhallas we have this high impact resin joint. And this type of joint will ever so slightly soften the hit, especially compared to things like stainless steel joints. And that may well be one of the components that gives the Valhalla that slightly unique feel. So yes, the hit might be slightly on the harder side, but as I mentioned before, it doesn't feel stiff. It's a nice responsive cue that gives you plenty of feedback. So when it comes to outright performance at this kind of price point, the Valhallas truly are hard to beat. And that's exactly why they've carved themselves such a fearsome reputation as being one of the best, if not the best, cues available at this price. And you'll notice if you do your own research and have a look at what the best pool cue is in the $100 to $150 ranges, you'll find multiple lists on the internet naming multiple brands. And the one thing that you'll most likely find on all of those lists is that right at the top they're going to list Valhalla. And at the end of the day that is absolutely justified, because what we have here with the Valhallas is we have a cue whose performance is truly outstanding for the price. So let's go ahead and score the Valhalla 200 series for performance. The 200 series by Valhalla may well cost $10 more than its 100 series equivalent. But even with the additional $10, this cue provides a level of performance that's simply hard to find at this kind of price. This really is a superb cue to play with and very deserving of its fearsome reputation, scoring it a perfect 5 stars out of 5 for performance.
It's a veritable cornucopia of mischief.
When it comes to features, first of all, it's definitely worth mentioning that there is quite a lot of variance across the Valhalla 200 series range. The 200 series comprises of 6 different cue designs that are available in multiple colours to give a total of 12 models. Now there is one model in that 200 series that does absolutely stand out like a sore thumb because it looks very different and does have slightly different specification to the rest, and that is the VA241. The VA241 is Valhalla's sneaky Pete model, and because it's so unique with unique specification, I'm actually going to be doing a separate review for that, so keep an eye out for that one. When it comes to the remaining 11 models, the basic specification is the same, but we do have some variances. Some come with wraps or without wrap. We have stains and we have HD transfers and that kind of thing. But fundamentally those 11 models in that 200 series share exactly the same specification. So they all have that identical tip, identical ferrule, the shafts are absolutely identical, joints identical, wraps if they have them identical, butt caps identical, everything. And it's also worth noting that that's not exclusive to the 200 series. Those specifications are identical to the 100 series also. So when it comes to choosing between buying a 100 or a 200 series Valhalla, you have to realise that they are essentially the same cue. And what you're paying that extra $10 or possibly $20 for would be the cosmetic design. And so of course it's your decision as to whether you see the additional value for your extra $10 or $20 to get that upgraded appearance. Now when it comes to our particular cue, this is the VA238, we have this two-tone wood stain. You can actually get this in 2 versions. We have the red and yellow version. They do a 2-tone green version as well, the VA237. And we also have a genuine Irish linen wrap finished in black with white speckles. And then we also have this high impact resin joint finished in black to exactly match our butt cap. And I must say I am quite a big fan of having the black finish on this cue. I think it gives it quite a high-end look, makes it look a little bit more expensive than it actually is. I think this cue would look very different and a little bit cheaper if they were finished in white. So for me, that's definitely a nice touch. And working our way up the cue, we have the Twin Lightning logo, which is a nice little extra. And of course we do have this triangle tip. And it's definitely a nice feature to have a branded tip, because you know that the quality on this tip will always remain the same between different batches of manufacturing. With these unbranded tips, you can never really be certain that it will be the same tip that goes on each time they manufacture a fresh batch of these cues. However, if you know that they're always fitted with triangle tips, and the quality will always remain the same. And then the final feature that we have here that's definitely worth talking about is the Pro Taper. And as I mentioned before, the shaft that we have here is 100% identical to the shaft on the 100 series. What we have here is definitely a Pro Taper profile. However, it might not be quite as pro-tapered as you might expect. Now, when you compare this to higher end cues, which are admittedly much more expensive than what we actually have here, what you'll tend to find is that that pro taper tends to be far more extreme than what we have on the Valhalla. And with that more extreme pro taper shape, you may well find that the angle comes in quite hard and sharp, and then levels off, and you want to try and get as much weight out of this section as possible. So you're almost trying to have the diameter that you have here travel all the way down as far as you can and then flared out towards the end. However, what we have here is definitely a far gentler pro taper. But if you are expecting it to match the extreme pro tapers that you might typically find on a $500, $600 or $700 cue, then you might well be a little bit disappointed. So with all that in mind, let's go ahead and score the 200 series for features. So the Valhalla 200 series is pretty well featured for the price that we're paying, and the features it has help enhance both the performance and the look of the cue, scoring it a solid 4 stars out of 5 for features. So we're glad to report that the quality on our Valhalla 200 series, just like the 100 series before it, is truly outstanding. Considering the money that you're spending, there is very little to nothing that you can actually complain about when it comes to quality on these cues. So starting with the cosmetics, the wood stain that we have here is finished absolutely perfectly. What we have here is a two-tone design that feathers out from yellow in the centre to red on the outsides. And not only are the colours both perfect, but also those transitions are really smooth also. You have a very high gloss finish that when you shine it on the yellow paint almost has an iridescent kind of almost 3D look to it. Again, remembering the price point of this cue, this is exceptionally well done. Moving on to our wrap, and what we have here, this is a genuine Irish linen wrap. And the quality of this, again, is superb. This has definitely been pressed, and it also has that slightly waxy feel to it. Feels like it's been slightly starched as well. And what I really like about the Valhalla is they definitely tend to have that attention to detail, which must be down to quality control. For example, even when you remove the butt cap, you take a look on the inside of the cue. Many cues, especially budget-orientated cues, they really couldn't care what the cues look like on the inside. Because after all, it's probably the minority of people that are actually going to be having a look at what's behind the butt cap. But on the Valhalla here, take that rubber butt cap off, and the finish on the inside is absolutely spot on. And of course, that's attention to detail on something that you don't even see. So when it comes to things that you do see, that's absolutely followed all the way through the cue. So when it comes to your fit and finish, what you'll find is the transition between all of your components is absolutely flawless. We do have this silver ring in here. You can't feel that at all. Likewise, you can feel no transition from the butt cap onto the base of the butt there. And then likewise, nice smooth transitions between the wood and the wrap there. And when it comes to our joint, exactly the same thing. You can't feel anything at all. And the quality on the shaft is also excellent. We do have a light seal on there, super smooth, and you can't really feel any imperfections on there at all. And coming down to the end here, again, the transition from the shaft onto the ferrule and ferrule onto the tip, all flawless. Now, the only minor negative that I'm going to pick up on with regards to quality is actually going to be on our tip. Now, on this particular one, we have the brown version of the triangle tip, and we're just starting to get a slight bit of mushrooming. Now, it must be said that we have been particularly hard on this cue, and yes, absolutely, we have been using this for all of our breaks during our testing. But that said, of course, it is a shame that we are getting that slight mushrooming that we're seeing here. And also, interestingly enough, on the 100 series, which came with the grey version of the triangle tip, although it was tested for the same amount of time and doing exactly the same tests, we had 0 mushrooming to the grey version. However, it should be said that we didn't actually notice any difference in the feel between playing with the brown or grey versions of the tip. So we're not really 100% sure what happened there and why we're seeing a little bit of mushrooming here on the brown that we didn't experience on the 100 series, which was fitted with the grey. But that is something that I noticed, and so of course we're pointing it out. So now let's score the 200 series for quality. Make no mistake, Valhallas are considered by many to be one of the best cues for the money in the business. And the quality of the cue really shines through and helps make it feel like it should cost considerably more. So does cue quality get much better than this at this price? We don't think so, scoring the 200 series a perfect 5 out of 5 for quality. Without question, at just $130, one of the Valhalla's strongest points is pure value for money. So yes, we're an extra $10 over the standard 100 series with wrap, but that extra $10 is more than justified, as it gives us a choice for a little bit more visual flair. And when we're talking about competition for the Valhalla 200 series, top of the list is likely the Lucky by McDermott. And these excellent cues start at just $90 for no wrap models or $95 with the wrap, which places them $20 to $25 cheaper than the cheapest Valhallas. So definitely a worthy consideration. The Sneaky Pete by Players is a classic favourite, and these can be picked up for a touch under $130 if you shop around. And for those who would prefer an American-made cue, then the only real budget option out there would be buying direct from Schmelk. And their cheapest models are currently around $120 and up, plus shipping. So there's no question that Valhalla stands strong as one of the best cues available in its price bracket, which is no doubt why they've been such a success. And this scores our 200 series full marks, 5 out of 5 for value for money. Now it's time to award the Valhalla 200 series by Viking an official Average Joe's rating. And to do this, we take the scores from across our 5 test categories, and then we simply calculate the average. And the 200 series takes the gold with an Average Joe's rating of 4.7 stars, easily earning it our coveted Average Joe's Sizzler Award, which we reserve for only the very hottest of products scoring 4 stars or more. And so, just like its smaller and ever so slightly cheaper younger brother, the 100 series, our 200 series is an exceptional buy. If you're after a combination of great performance on a tight budget, then Valhalla is very worthy of your utmost attention. And so when it comes to Valhalla pool cues, there is no question that these are amongst the best pool cues that you can possibly buy for this kind of money. However, should you buy the 200 series like we have here, or should you save yourself a little bit of money and go for the 100 series? Well, in all reality, that is a question that only you can answer. Either way, you're getting a fantastic pool cue. And of course, with the 200 series, you're going to get those cosmetic upgrades. And if you're not worried about having a flashy looking cue, then absolutely the 100 series could well be the option for you. However, if you want something a little bit more flashy, and maybe you can justify the extra $10 or possibly $20 depending on what model you go for, then of course the 200 series might be the better option. But the bottom line is, regardless of what model you go for, they're all priced between $100 and $10 for the 100 series, maximum of $130 for our 200 series. So regardless of what model you choose to go from, you're definitely going to get a lot of cue for your money. And if you are interested in buying yourself a Valhalla cue, please do remember we will be adding those Amazon links into the video description for both the 200 series models that we have here, as well as the 100 series. So if this video has been helpful for you, please be sure to help us out in return, and please use those Amazon links. So thank you for joining us here at Average Joe's Pool. Now, before you leave us, we always ask you to take 1 second out of your busy day just to please be sure to, at the very least, hit that like button before you leave. And whilst you're there, why not also click on the subscribe button and switch on notifications, and then you automatically find out about all of our upcoming videos. And if you really want to help us out, please remember those Amazon links. So until next time, one thing about living in Santa Carla that I never could stomach: all the damn vampires.
Not leaving so soon, are you?